Welcome into the Lee Company countdown to kickoff as the Tennessee Titans prepare to take on the New England Patriots after 2 road games. Titans finally back at home alongside my crew, Blaine Bishop, Brad Hopkins, Buck Rising. I'm Kayla Anderson. And another week trying to get a win, y'all. How are you guys doing? You feeling optimistic here?
Oh. How do we feel at this point? I don't know. I'm not sure what to make of the Tennessee Titans at this point in time. The New England Patriots are in a bad spot. Tennessee Titans need to get a win at home. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But benefit of the doubt, I don't know that they get it at 1-6.
Similar feel I had when Indianapolis came into town. They were dealing with some injuries, kind of a team that we felt that we should at least be able to get a win against. Here's a team that is ranked at the bottom of most statistical categories, right? We're talking about the Patriots. Their young quarterback is coming off a concussion protocol, didn't really have that much time to practice this week. So is this a situation where the Titans should be able to take advantage of?
Yes.
I can't say definitively yes.
No.
Why? Because it hasn't happened yet.
Because they haven't proven it.
They haven't won a Nissan yet this year. Mm-hmm. So it is what it is.
Hi, Blaine. How are you?
Blaine? Look at Blaine. He's like,
I am conflicted, but I'm very optimistic. And it's hard to say because we're not seeing it live in the results of actually the score of them actually winning. I think especially on offense, you can see that they're getting closer to having consistency. And this is how you talk when things are right at the tip. And it's only because they don't have the proven players yet with all the guys together. Who is the go-to guy? We knew who our go-to guy was. It was McNair, or it was Eddie George, it was Derek Mason, Drew Bennett, whoever, Wycheck. I mean, we knew who the guys that we're going to go to. They're still trying to figure it out. Remember, I told you I'm big on chemistry.
Absolutely.
Well, chemistry takes time, and I think we're figuring out. Oh, my man out there, why Ridley may be the go-to guy. Now it's defined that he is the number 1 target. Does that now put everybody else in their roles? And does that then help the quarterback if he can stay consistent? I hear Mason Rudolph is going to be starting. I don't know if that's true or not. Mm-hmm. You guys cover him tighter than I do. I think it's a positive thing. Unfortunately, how long will it take? The offensive line, B-Hop knows, is getting better. They're getting better. So all of a sudden, if it starts coming together, maybe sooner than later, hopefully it's this game at home so everybody can actually see it here on the map. I know this is sickening to Buck to hear this, but he has no belief. But also positive affirmation.
Sure.
B-Hop can tell you guys who play sports, all the negativity weighs on you.
Yeah.
You need to unleash. All you need is one positive thing in a time of turmoil, failing, bad things happening, and somebody rises and makes a play.
Yep.
And then once that happens one time, the floodgates happen.
Yeah, I would say we're almost in purgatory because we talked about it last week, Kayla and Blaine and I did, Buck, when you were on the road with the guys, about a standard being set and an identity being set. When you don't have either one of those, when you go through situations like this where you've yet to win at home, where you've only won 1 game on the year, you don't have the kind of confidence to weather those storms. Sometimes the season is like the stock market. It has ebbs and flows. It has ups and downs. And if you have confidence, if you have an identity, if you have a standard that's already been set, then you can weather those storms and finally find that common ground that gets you to winning, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, maybe they're starting that. Last week, protection wasn't as much of an issue. Through the first 15 games, the Titans gave up 15 sacks. They've only allowed 5 sacks in the last 4 games. That's 4th in the league over that span now, okay?
It's coming together.
So, but there was some pressure last week on Mason Rudolph. Don't be looking at him like that, Buck. It's like side eye.
I didn't say anything. I got sunglasses on. What side eye? What side eye?
Anyway,
not at the pace we want.
I'm staying quiet until it's my turn.
Namaste.
It might be an indicator that things are turning around. We'll just say it that way. Go ahead, Bud.
So Adam Schefter did report, by the way, Blaine, last night that it is expected for Mason Rudolph to start today at quarterback as Will Levis continues to nurse that right shoulder, which, by the way, I think, guys, this could be a longer situation than we imagine with that because separated shoulders, the AC joint is not always going to heal right away. It's going to take several weeks. Some guys have even in the past played some games on it, and then realized I got to just have surgery. So it's going to be interesting to follow that situation as it
I had
unfolds.
AC joint, and I did have surgery after the season.
Yep.
I'm not throwing every
Yep.
play, by the way. I was hitting, but at the same time, I thought it was a 4 to 5 week injury. I played the next week naturally, and I wouldn't recommend that to anybody. But a quarterback, he's getting hit unbeknown to us even after he
Right.
throws the ball. So not only that, that's his throwing arm. So that can affect his throwing motion. I was interested to see how much, and he's a tough guy.
Yeah, he
so
is.
it's kind of interesting to see that this may take longer.
And a quarterback that's still learning how to protect himself.
Yes,
Right?
yes,
in terms
yes,
of
no
how he
doubt,
takes
no doubt.
care of his own body. Trevor Siemian was called up from the practice squad, so
Yep.
fair to assume that he was going to be in the backup role today, as well as Corey Levin, since they placed Andrew Rupsich on injured reserve this week. They've got Justin Hardy, who's going to make an impact today, allegedly, on special teams, the new corner that they just added. Joshua Kelly and Bryce Oliver are all on the active roster after they've made a few transactions there. And yeah, I mean, to your point, Blaine, and the power of positivity, like, I completely understand that. But when they show a sign of life, like the passing game. First time the passing game really felt like it got going, and they weren't necessarily in a shootout with Detroit early on, but they were keeping pace with one of the best offenses in the league. Calvin Ridley, very heavily involved. He was targeted 15 times. He caught 10 passes. That's not something we've seen at any point this year. But then immediately they're undermined by a different side of the ball with the special team situation. And when your margin for error is so thin, you simply cannot have that. So we are all looking for this team to put together a complete performance. Otherwise, you're talking about them as like the Carolina Panthers of the AFC, and you simply can't have that. There's too much investment in this team right now for that to be acceptable.
And speaking of investment, investing a lot in that cornerback position, and we continue to see the injuries in terms of that position. We heard, with this week, it's L'Jarius Sneed out again. It's the quad that he continues to nurse. And Chidobe Awuzie has been out now for a few weeks now. So you continuously are going to see some of these guys in depth roles have to step up. And then, there's a long list of guys that were questionable coming into this week. So it'll be interesting to see who's ready to go, who is not, when it comes to this very, very winnable game. But then again, you got to go prove it.
It is winnable, because bad football teams win games in this league all the time. The New England Patriots just did that against the New York Jets, who just beat the Houston Texans. The transitive property does not necessarily work that way in the NFL, but this is a league successfully built for parity, which again makes some of their results so frustrating. In the last 2 weeks, and Will Levis hasn't been in the lineup, so it's not like they can pin all of the blame on Will Levis. Right. They've gotten their doors kicked in against the Buffalo Bills and the Detroit Lions, and it's been issues of their own making. So yes, this is a winnable game today, provided that you don't make the mistakes that you have continued to make through these first 8 weeks of football. The special teams, I want to think that it's an anomaly to have that bad of a performance as they did last week.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
It was,
you be
yeah.
up.
But I'm going to tell you what. Marcus Jones
that.
is a weapon for the Patriots in the return game. He set up the Patriots offense in good field position to start drives last week.
Yeah.
He's second in the league, first in the AFC in average yards per return. So we cannot have another Detroit Lions performance.
If we do, I don't know if people going to make it. People
already
coaches,
wanted
I don't
Colt
know,
Anderson
man.
out, so.
If another one happens back to back, that's a tough one there. That's a tough pill to swallow.
So let's play the hypothetical. I'm staying positive, Blaine. I'm staying positive. All right, I'm working on it.
Really?
Let's say that was the anomaly last week. Okay,
please.
Then let's play a clean football game to minimize your risk to put yourself in disadvantageous positions. Mason Rudolph threw 2 interceptions last week. They had 3 fumbles. They lost 2 of them in this game. There are so many different ways that they can make these games winnable that they are directly impacting unto themselves, which is what makes you want to pull your hair out when you watch them.
Yeah, there's no doubt. When you're they're 1-5, 1-6 now.
1-6.
I'm losing
1-6,
count.
yeah.
You're losing count.
I know, right?
Because
he told me to stay positive.
Well, no. In theory, it's because they're finding different ways every week to lose, and that's a sign of not of a good team. You're just finding a way. So that's why I'm talking about the positivity. If they have one good thing happen for them when there's a failure, let's say an interception, and somebody takes it back, and then they score a touchdown.
Yeah.
Alrighty, then we come come back and march it right down the field and score. Eliminated all the rush of all what they have done. Now you've responded.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think they need that to happen once or twice. And then that'll kind of hopefully get some positivity and some confidence that they can actually do it. That's why I talk about athletes need positive affirmation after they've had a tough time for a while.
Sure.
They go, now this is where we need to go.
And with that, I want to ask you guys this. The idea of the players needing to have belief in the coaching staff that they have proof of concept, right? Like, this is not just about quarterback evaluation anymore, right? We're talking about a 1-6 football team. Everybody is under the microscope at 1-6. So now you have to go out and win a winnable game to show that you as a coaching staff can also reward these guys for their hard work, because there's been too many missed opportunities. And you have, for example, Colt Anderson, the special teams coach, since we've been talking about special teams, getting up and apologizing in front of his unit, saying that he didn't have them adequately prepared last week. Okay, well, we're looking at you to have us prepared now. Let's see it.
Yeah.
I don't buy that.
Yeah.
I don't buy that one bit.
What, that he didn't have them adequately
because
prepared? Or?
Coaches don't make plays, they design them.
Yeah.
It's a player's job to go out there and do his job. If I call a play, regardless of how dumb it may seem, if I go out there and do my job, I have a better chance of making that happen, right? I can't go out there and block for the quarterback. I can't go out there and tackle the guys and get off the field on third down. I can put together plays and scenarios that would best suit that situation and hope that you can go out there and do what I've taught you to do.
Are you seeing more of an execution issue then?
Exactly. Because every single play that's called on offense is designed to score. Every single one of them. Because there's not one guy that designs a play and says, hope I get 3 yards on this one. Hope I get 4 yards on this one. No, it's designed to, if everybody does what they're supposed to do, receivers blocking on the edges, quarterbacks making an accurate throw, the right routes being run, time in the pocket to make things develop. I would say Brian Callahan is doing a tremendous job of keeping this team together, because I've been on teams where our offense has not played up to snuff and we've had a lights-out defense. This defense is in the top 5 and sometimes statistically number 1 versus an offense that is almost at the very bottom. I mean, think about the disparity between those two situations. And they're not backbiting each other. They're not looking at each other crazy. I mean, Blaine can tell you this. When the defense is on the field for 10, 11 plays or whatever else, and all of a sudden they get a 3 and out from offense, and they're back out there on the field. Yeah, that woo means something right there, Buck, Caleb. That means, boy, I'm going to tell you what, if y'all don't do your job out here, there's about to be some fur flying. It ain't on the other sideline.
Yeah, well, they can't continue to play the game of whack-a-mole. When one mistake comes up, another one, they've got to figure out the game and how to solve
it's
the
a balance.
Yeah.
It's a balance.
Right?
The coaches to execution is really hard to pinpoint all the time, and I'm sure it wavers back and forth. But one thing we do know is the special teams have had issues somewhat all season. And so whether it was a kickoff or punt, blocked or what have you. So those things have been consistent pretty much throughout the entire time, except for a game or two, right?
Exactly. And this is the time that you've got to fix that. Again, this show made possible by Lee Company. All you need, visit them online at leecompany.com when the Lee Company Countdown to Kickoff returns. Let's talk a little bit more about the big opportunity today for the Titans offense to build some confidence. We talked about fighting through adversity, being able to fight through some of these mistakes. What needs to happen on this offense to make it run today? We'll get into that and much more coming up on the Lee Company Countdown to Kickoff, 104.5 The Zone. Welcome back into the Lee Company countdown to kickoff as the Tennessee Titans are set to host the New England Patriots, looking for that second win of the season. The Titans trust their home stadium to Lee Company to tackle their HVAC, plumbing, and electrical problems. They can protect your home to your next play. Visit LeeCompany.com. Lee Company, all you need. And before we get back to talking about some offense here, we've got to check in with our guy. It is Ron Slay, Slay Dog, at the Titans VIP tailgate. We got Ron Slay, we got DJ C-Wiz. What's up, my friend?
Man, what's happening over there with you guys, man? We're trying to get the energy right over here. They are flooding in. Now, I'm going to tell people we hold quite a few people, but they said it's already been 400 tickets, which is a surprise. That's already gone pre-sold, so you better get in here. It's going to be a party regardless of what's going on. This is two teams that are struggling to go get a win. And one thing we're not doing over here, Caleb, is struggling to get a party going. We know what to do over here.
That's very true. And what can people expect when they go over there, Slay, except for, of course, you being gracing us with all your presents?
Man, you can expect 4 floors of greatness, and that means all you can eat, all you can drink. And on the 3rd floor, if you need the kiddos to be, watched for a little while, let them watch themselves, there's about 5 Xboxes down there. They can sit there and play the games, play Madden, do all that. And they have a silent auction when you first come in. We have a celebrity chef, Aaron May, making things happen as far as the food goes. And we have great bartenders. So I'm telling you, this is where you want to be at. And a lot of times, people don't make it to the game because of the tailgate. And I like that. That's a badge of honor for us.
You know what I expected? You know what I expected, Slay? I expected your
Buckaroo?
football team to cover. I expected them to cover last night against Kentucky. I expected them to handle business against the Tackle Cats. I expected style points. What the hell?
Hey, you know what? I did too. It seemed like it's going to have to get a win and move on to the next week. When you get to the meat of the season like this, like Indiana, like Indiana, it's about winning and advancing, correct? That's what we get to see.
Some of us, we just decide we're going to be good at football every once in a while. It's okay, Slay. It's all right. 9-0. It feels good, baby.
A&M thought that they had something going, too. The only team that
They did.
got punched right in the face by them Gamecocks.
Let me talk while I can talk, Brad.
It's different. It's different playing in these. I'm gonna keep saying this. Playing in these SEC venues, especially at night. I don't care who you are. Everybody's vulnerable, man. Especially at this part of the season when guys are banged up. A&M thought something. Marcel Reed is a great quarterback, though. He got a really, really bright future. Young fella from here.
Yeah, I think the way that UT is playing this year, they always bring out the best in their opponent, right? Because they know this is a top team that can get into the playoffs, so they're going to try and play their best to not get embarrassed, especially in Neyland Stadium. But there's one question I got for you, Ron.
Talk to me.
Are you rocking the Rick James curl?
Hey man, listen.
Yeah,
that was the Rick James laugh right there.
I already got my costume picked out for next year, but I'm gonna blow everybody away next year. I'm telling you, I'm coming with it, man.
Ahead. That's
it's gonna
impressive.
be a classic. I'm telling you, it's gonna be a classic, Caleb.
I like this year's. Y'all, you look pretty good too.
I
It's
appreciate
still
it,
Halloween. You should still be in costume up there.
Right now.
Well, he is Ron Slay. Go check him out at the Bridge Building. It is the Titans VIP tailgate. They've got DJ C-Wiz spinning all the hits down there, and hopefully you can make it to a game. But if not, at least you had fun with Ron Slay, right?
That's right, man. We're going all the way up till kickoff, 3 hours before every home game. It's the Bridge Building. You can scan the QR code when you come to the door, or go on social media, go to Bullseye Event Group, and be able to get your tickets there.
Thanks, Slay Dog.
All right, y'all.
Have fun.
That's
All
the
right.
first time I've heard him sound tired.
I was going to say.
That's the first time.
Did he go to the game
He
last
was at the
night?
game.
Gosh,
Yeah,
he's been
yeah.
dedicated.
24 hour,
He's
he
just
sleep.
incredible.
He's obscene that way. I find this man was in the lobby of his hotel at the night of his wedding. I'm getting ready to leave at 3:45 in the morning to catch a flight. He's still down
He's
there
still
partying.
going.
The man has no quit. I've
No.
never seen another human being like that.
He doesn't. I wish I had that energy, and he's older than me, so I don't know what's going on with that. What needs to happen is the Titans offense needs to have energy, not from just the first part of the game. They need to find some consistency, guys, from start to finish. And what I've noticed, too, with this offense in particular is it's something about going into the half and then coming out of the half that this team seems to shoot itself in the foot, and the recovery just never seems to happen. What needs to happen for this team to find some consistency from start to finish?
That's a great question. I think it begins with ending the half on a positive note, whether it's putting points on the board, whether it's getting off the field, creating some sort of explosive play either on offense or defense, giving them something to be excited about as they go into halftime. Now, if things aren't going your way, you got to be able to make those halftime adjustments, right, Blaine? I mean, saying the right things, looking at what happened in the first half that didn't work or that was working, and either extenuating that or putting that fire out that has been causing you problems in the first half. So there's got to be some sort of conversation at halftime that kind of describes how the first half went, make those adjustments, and then come out in that second half thinking, you know what, we got 30 more minutes of football to play here. Regardless of what happened in the first half, whether we're winning or we're losing, we can make this a whole totally different ball game unless it's completely gotten away from you, which has rarely happened, even though they haven't played as consistent as we would like to say, hey, look, this is a team that can get it done in all situations.
Yeah, I have question marks all over my head.
I love that. I'm like visualizing that now.
Okay, after halftime, I mean, it's like,
I know.
What are we doing? I want to go down the road of, oh, man, we're not in shape. Oh, we're not mentally tough. I mean, we can go all these halftime adjustments. I don't even know, really. I have no idea what to do because it seems like there have been different circumstances along the way. So how about this? I would be open to every player must take off all their gear, take a shower, and then put it back on, and back on, and then go back out there, refreshed and re-energized with the same funky clothes you just took off there. The same uniform. Try that and see if it works.
Hey, also, get him a Capri Sun and an orange slice, all right? Let's take him back to the old soccer days.
I'm so puzzled. I don't know. I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
Like, every game after that.
He said take a shower. Wash it all off.
I love it.
Take the dirty clothes off and then put them back on.
I love it.
I mean, he's got a point though. Like, what do you now? Like last week it got out of hand. I mean, it was out of hand by halftime.
Sure.
You're in an obvious drop back passing situation because you're having to chase the Detroit Lions in that spot because Jared Goff's beating you with 85 yards passing, which is completely and totally ridiculous. The idea of halftime adjustments. You guys tell me. Halftime seems so much shorter in the NFL than it is in college football. And these guys have the tablets, so they're adjusting drive after drive after drive. So to me, it's not even about when they go in at the half. What are they seeing? How are they identifying the problems on tape in real time, or not on tape, but I guess on the Surface tablets that they have in real time, and being able to adjust? Because it's not like they have put together first halves that make you think they're good. Like they get a lead in a lot of these games that they've played, and then they turn it over, and they're not creating turnovers is the other thing. The other thing is they're
at minus 13 turnover ratio.
Minus 13
that is awful.
Disgusting.
Right.
And it's gotten worse every week.
They have 2 turnovers on the year. They have that weird backward pass that Arden got away from the Dolphins in that Monday Night Football game, and then they have the one interception of Joe Flacco this year, Amani Hooker with the interception against the Colts, the last home game that they played. So it's not just to me about like what are they doing at halftime. It's how do they complement one another. Because the offense and the special teams put the defense in terrible situations last week where the Lions have 5 drives that start at the Tennessee 26 or in for them to be able to capitalize and score 5 touchdowns on all 5 of those possessions. Like, Blaine, what you guys were talking about how frustrated you get at a defense for not doing their job and giving you guys enough time, or an offense.
Well, a defense has to look at that sudden change as a challenge.
Yeah.
And I get it if it happens multiple times, but you got to know it's all going to equal itself out along the season, let alone in a game. But I was thoroughly disappointed in the eye discipline of the players, and we got some young players.
They talked about that, Blaine, a lot this week.
I was upset. I was like, because that's on you. It's man to man. There's nothing. Stop. Don't peek. Look at your guy. They're not. It's just that simple. That really irritates me.
But that's technique, isn't it, Blaine?
That's
isn't
discipline.
That what you're
that's just it's just everything to that. So I was a little disappointed on a couple of those touchdowns. They could have held them to field goals. You saw a glimpse of light that you still are going to do all you can to help the offense out. So they're getting hit from all different angles. That's why I said they got to have some positive happen, or if not, they're going to go down this road again. I don't care who you're playing. It's the National Football League. New England, who's looking for a win, they're fighting just like the Titans are. So they're looking for the answers too. So hopefully we can figure out the answers in this freaking game, like responding to a bad play. To be honest, I'm gonna tell you right now, I want to see a bad play by the Titans, and I want to see them respond.
Respond to it. You're absolutely right.
If they just win and it's just that's not good enough for me at this point in time.
And they've talked about it. You know, Peter Skronsky has talked about this several times when asked about when you guys face adversity, what is it that allows you to not come back and respond? He said, I think we're just lacking the confidence in those situations. So you're right.
They haven't done it.
Exactly. They need to do that. Let me throw this out here to you guys. Tony Pollard has been the consistent force for this offense this season so far. I'm a little worried, though, that they are working him because he has been really the primary back because Tajay Spears has been out with a hammy. He's out again today. Tony Pollard actually did not practice most of the week. He was on there for a foot, I think mostly just giving him some rest. But he has had the majority of the carries, 114 on the season. And I'm just wondering at some point, you got to start helping him out, too, because he's been a workhorse, but we've still got a lot of the season to go.
You can't handle 20 carries?
Well,
he's my size.
Yeah.
He's not the last guy's size.
He's not Derrick Henry.
I guess. Yeah. Still explosive. He's still got the ability to get to the edges.
Yeah, he does.
I think that he can still hit the lanes that, in a lot of instances, especially recently, the offensive line has provided for him. I understand what you're saying, Kayla, when you have a two-back system with Tajay and Tony Pollard in there.
I think they expected just a little bit more from him this year.
But it's not like we're featuring the run a whole bunch either, though. He's not getting 30 carries or something. He's not doing a Derrick Henry type deal where, we're just giving him the ball and letting him run over people. And a lot of the stuff that they've actually done is designed run. It's not with that bludgeoning stuff between the tackles, know?
Sure.
But I will say, you know what? I wish Will were here to talk about how you start a marathon or how you start a cross-country run. Mm-hmm. You don't just start out sprinting, right? What did I text you within the first couple of minutes last week? The first play from scrimmage for the defense was a sack.
That's right.
I said, Kayla, we're up one. We got
he said
one.
One sack because his bet was two.
To me,
last
it
week.
almost felt like that was the sprint out the gate. You know what I mean? Like, oh, shoot. Now we got to live up to what we've done so far because this is a high-powered offense that we have to be able to do that consistently. And they did get to Jared Goff 4 times last week, so that does say something about their ability to be disruptive, right? But I think in most instances, the offense has to be able to move the chains. And the reason why I say that's imperative is because it gives a defense the rest that it needs to be able to pin their ears back. If you put points on the board, that then plays into the defense's hands of being able to then get after the opposing offense, right?
And you guys, we saw it for one brief second in the first quarter, a little bit of complimentary football, and then it quickly disappeared. But
it was so quick, I missed it.
It showed that they could do it. Yeah, it was early on in that first quarter with the defense and then the offense responding. And so there was a short glimpse of hope, but that clearly went away very quickly.
Yeah. Oh, that was after the key sack? I watch this. I think he was just playing to get traded.
I'm so glad you said that instead of me. I had the exact.
He hadn't looked like that all freaking season.
He said he went outside and got some help in terms of technique, by the way, too.
Oh, did he? Oh, well, maybe that helped him out.
The Cardinals are calling around for edge rushers, by the way, and Monty Ossenfort knows.
Well, we'll see if it still works this
I see.
game.
He saw Aiden Hutchinson was down, so he said, let me see if I can't get on this roster by sacking Jared.
Because everybody was talking about Harold being the guy that could possibly.
I said key, too, in the pregame. I was saying both because, hey, man, his contract is pretty much they can opt out of it next year, too, as well, correct?
Right.
Thank you so much for being the one to say that first.
Oh, goodness.
I felt like, I was like, where's this Arden Key been all
It did come out
So
of nowhere.
we went into the locker room and talked to him after the Detroit game, one of several players, and he said, well, listen, he was asked, what do you kind of tell young guys who are in this situation, whatever, and he's just like, hey, what you put on tape is your resume. What you put on tape is your resume, which is it can be applied to multiple facets of this discussion because that can be a good lesson for young guys, and it can also be a message, hey, look at my resume, look what I did today, that kind of stuff. So I would not rule that out because today there is, the trade deadline is not until Tuesday. They pushed it back a week this year for teams to be able to look around, and there's still teams making decisions. We've seen a lot of activity, including this team moving DeAndre Hopkins. So not to err on the skeptical side, but I don't think that's entirely out of pocket by Blaine.
Yeah, another move could definitely happen. You said it, Blaine, and I'm glad you did. Like you said,
I can't believe I said it.
It's all right.
You take that piece of paper you wrote down key.
No, I wrote him a note and I slipped it to him. I said, "You say this instead of me this week."
Well, speaking of players who, though, did kind of search for something to help improve their individual game, Calvin Ridley is one of those guys that we saw step up last week. Blaine, you mentioned it. 10 receptions for 143 yards against the Lions. And Buck, you heard that this week. I don't know if you guys were listen to the presser, but he has been working on doing some things extra in terms of the tennis ball machine that they just got in, and he's been working on eye-hand coordination. Clearly something has paid off, or do we say maybe because DeAndre Hopkins isn't here?
I don't know how much credence, because it's not like Hop was getting a ton of targets. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like anybody was really sucking up a ton of targets in this offense, but they clearly made it an emphasis to not just get him the ball, but get him the ball early. I mean, he went crazy in the first quarter, which is what gave them a chance in that game, at least early on. And for Calvin Ridley, here's what I like about it, because searching for positives or things that this team can still accomplish, because before we kick off today, there are still 10 more games. Like, you can still show us something as a roster, as a coaching staff, as a franchise to be accomplished. And I like seeing guys tested like Calvin Ridley or J.C. Latham or Jeffrey Simmons or whatever player on this roster you want to name and actually answering the bell. I think Ridley has done that. I think he's putting in additional work. I think he's trying to show other people on this roster. It is a roster that's got a lot of inexperienced players on it. Hey, this is how we work even down 1-6, because this is how you're going to get better. This is how you're going to stop the bleeding. So there is the opportunity here for Calvin Ridley to let that kind of seep into some other guys here too, who, you know, not to question the work ethic. I don't think there's been any real sense of that, but that you still have to go above and beyond, but beyond what you think is acceptable to play in the National Football League.
Chemistry is huge. Blaine touched on this last week when you talk about you can have some star names, some star power come in, but if they don't have the chemistry, that cohesion, the connection, it doesn't matter. Now, there's an expectation that comes with being a professional. We understand that. When Calvin Ridley, who we've seen be a dynamic playmaker in other places, we expect to see those same results here in Tennessee. It might take a minute. Now, I know that time is not a luxury, especially when you're playing these type of games. But when you've got a guy like Calvin Ridley that is now maybe starting to get it. Tyler Boyd had 6 targets last week. I think he was second leading receiver on the team last week. So you're starting to see maybe a slight connection being made. And this is with Mason Rudolph, who's starting maybe his 3rd game this year. It's not like they've had consistency of being able to work with one dude the entire year to kind of develop that chemistry. But like B said, that's a huge factor in whether or not these guys understand each other. They have that kind of connection to where, I mean, it's like almost like Kelsey Mahomes type deal. You know what I mean? How many routes are unconventional or not even routes themselves that Kelsey finds himself available to Patrick Mahomes to find because of why? They know each other. They understand what's going on each other. And we just haven't had that kind of connection consistently here yet.
It's funny because on the note of Mason Rudolph and that connection with Calvin Ridley, although they have not been working together as much, I asked Mason about that. Is there anything you saw different leading up to that game that kind of made you think there was going to be that connection there? And he said, honestly, it's just Calvin doing the extra work. He said, he is not a diva receiver. He's going to go out of his way. And he kind of meant it in a funny way, but at the same time, he's worked with some diva receivers back in Pittsburgh. So I thought that was funny. Calvin Ridley is doing the work, and he is setting that example. Now it's nice to see it paying off.
You know, sometimes on offense, that's why I was talking about pieces to the puzzle last week and chemistry, because I value that a lot, me personally, because it helped me perform at a high level. But guess what? If I would have had, it was different. When I went to Philly, my role was different. Now I had to take a back seat to Hall of Famer Brian Dawkins, right? So now all the defense in the secondary is built around Brian Dawkins, right? Oh, well, what if everything was a little confusing here? Everything wasn't built around the high-priced Ridley. It was still kind of with D-Hop. It was still kind of with Boyd. Who is the go-to guy? Potential Hall of Fame guy in D-Hop? Hey, man, you better give me my respect. Unsaid, unheard, but that is communicated amongst the players, especially with him and Levis already having some form of chemistry from last year. So then when he comes back and he's injured early in the season, all of a sudden he starts, then really he's like, hey, man, did you forget about me? Where am I at? I'm right here. Yeah. So that does happen. Even if you have a lot of mutual respect within a room, it still can happen because the other guy's trying to, you know, say, hey, man, it's your turn. Let's take it over. My turn. Let's take it over. They couldn't figure it out. So now that one piece has been separated, whether you liked it or not. I love D-Hop, but now, hopefully, all the pieces parlay into their normal roles and they understand. And guess what? NWI is always going to be the number 3 or 4. And guess what? He's never going to complain.
Exactly.
Right? So he's not going to be hungry like, hey, man, where my balls? Where my passes, man?
He's not going to be in the ears.
No diva receiver.
Yeah.
I wish you would have been.
Well, sometimes that's good and sometimes that's bad.
I wish you would have been.
Yeah. But why? Because he went to IU?
No, because he's better than Traylon Burks.
Well, yeah, Traylon, who is now
Well, he still wasn't
on
going to
IR.
get that opportunity.
No, I know.
They were going to let Burks fail first.
Or get
before-
hurt.
Right, or get hurt
I
before.
feel like there
because
was
of
a
where he went.
representative sample
Yeah.
size of that, Blaine. I feel
Well,
like there
it
were some
was.
missed opportunities.
It was. But hey,
That's just me.
But that's
Also go Hoosiers.
Well, that is
Wow.
the
He
politics.
just learned
of
this
the NFL.
quarterback's name. Okay, don't
I
let
know.
him fool
Last
you.
week.
Don't
Yeah,
let him
last
fool
week.
you,
I know.
folks.
When
I'm
was
happy
the,
for
when
you.
was the last time y'all were undefeated?
Terrible.
Never.
I wish you would have said like 1886.
Oh, well, listen, they've been playing football for 100 years. I just watched my first game like 2 weeks ago.
Right? It's all about basketball up there, you know? It's a Hoosier State.
Oh man, you didn't watch when they had you probably haven't even heard of Anthony Thompson or anybody like that.
No.
Oh, the running back. Okay,
No way.
I think he was a first round pick.
Predated me.
Oh, my goodness.
I didn't know Lee Corso coached at Indiana until they had him up there in a
come
sweater.
on.
No, buddy.
Buck.
I didn't go to one game in 4 years of college
wow.
there.
Goodness
So yeah,
gracious.
Oh, wow.
football school now.
Yeah, right?
Okay.
This is the Lee Company Countdown to Kickoff. Lee Company, all you need. Visit them online at leecompany.com. When we come back, our betting segment, for the most part, went pretty swell last weekend.
Except for
this one.
That's right.
Yes.
Buck Rising. He did not get a win. Brad and I did.
How the hell does an NFL team not cover 12 and a half?
I mean, you keep on
how
doing
is that
this.
possible?
You keep on believing that they're going to cover.
I didn't think that they
So
would produce
please
the
don't make that
fourth
bet this
worst loss
weekend.
in the history of the Titans.
I wish
a
they could
prop
see your
bet,
eyes
Buck.
right
I am
now.
no, they can't. That's why I've got the sunglasses on, because I'm pissed. I'm pissed.
We'll continue that. We'll have our bets for you come up next.
Enough of this
on
crap.
The Lee Company Countdown to Kickoff Titans versus the
Unbelievable.
Pats.
I've been to more Hoosier games than you.
That's right.
Welcome back into the Lee Company countdown to kickoff. The Titans trust their home stadium to Lee Company to tackle their HVAC, plumbing, and electrical problems. They can protect your home, too. Your next play, visit leecompany.com. Lee Company, all you need. Titans hosting the New England Patriots today. The Titans looking for their second win of the season, looking for their first win at home this season at Nissan Stadium. It is time for our Pro Prop segment. I have some good news. I have some bad news. If you listened to Brad and I last week, we won you money. You are welcome. If you listen to Buck, which I hope you know by now not to listen to him, he did not win you money.
I am not going to be held responsible for this team losing by 38.
You know what, Kayla? I know
refuse.
we're making fun of Buck for taking the Titans in 12 and a half.
Right. It is
12 and a half.
It's a
Think
big
about
number.
this.
It's a big number.
We were all saying the same thing. There's no way in the world that they're going to lose by 12 and a half. This is a professional matchup between two
and we
NFL
all look
teams.
like ding-dongs.
I mean, man.
Look, he's biting his
I'm
fist.
pissed.
He's biting his fist.
I'm pissed. I'm tired of watching this.
So what, are you going to make a bet on another team?
No, I'm going to
this
bet
week?
on another team. I'm not betting a
so
Titans.
you are
I'm not.
doing
I'm
that.
not.
Whoa. But the Titans are favored. I just saw this right
No,
now.
I wouldn't
quit
touch that
watching.
with your
I
money.
quit watching.
Exactly.
was
I
like,
would
favored
not
by
touch that with
3.
your money.
What's going on here?
Absolutely not.
They're
That's
at
good for
home.
home field, and they're playing a 2-6 football team. Let's not get crazy.
I feel like something's wrong. They're favored.
Yeah, it is something wrong. They're the 31st or 32nd
you know what?
ranked offense.
You know what? This was the only game
They
before
were
the
favored
season
in.
started
Yep.
that they were going to be favored
Yep.
in. According to the offshore books, this was
even
the
before.
only game.
Yeah. That's a fact.
So damn it, they better beat this team today or else.
Okay, so Buck, what are you going to do?
Yeah. What you gonna do?
The board is. I mean, there's some frisky games this week.
There are.
Oh, you get this going on.
By the way, the college weekend was a wreck for me.
Don't
Oof.
run from your failures.
Man.
Now he's pressuring you to just go with it.
You want me,
You have to
you want me to
bet
make
the
a Titans pick?
Yes, you have
Well, listen,
to.
you know I don't bet because I'm an NFL reporter and that would be unethical. But if I was betting with Blaine Bishop's money,
Oh, my. Here you go. So what would you
the
bet?
under is 38.5 in a professional NFL game. The under is less than 40, which is, offensive. But I will say, literally not offensive. I would look at this and say that with Mason Rudolph starting and Drake May starting in this game, which is expected to happen, he cleared concussion protocol. He's going to be available, or at least he's expected to be available. I'm still going under 38.5.
Oh, God, you're going with the under. That's it.
Listen, this team has a malfunction. Once it gets to 17 points, it just stops. Like it can't advance any
when
further.
it was 14, whatever, in that first half against Detroit, I said, they're not going to score again. Watch. And they did not.
They average 1.9
I was
touchdowns
like,
per
oh my,
game.
I can't believe I was right. That I
Like
even thought that. That's
every
the
bit of
first time.
logic tells me under.
Okay.
Which of course they'll go
Well,
over
you're
and I'll look like an idiot.
You're going to hate my bet this week then.
Good.
Because I am going to take Titans over 20.5 points today.
Oh,
That is right.
You're sick.
I have a feeling that 17 is going to wash down the drain, and I'm going to go with 20.5. I think they're going to
Flush it down
score
the
at
toilet.
least 20.
I need to go to whatever school of positivity that you're going to.
Well, I
because
mean,
to
it
think
helps
that this
me with
team
my
can break
bets.
17 is crazy.
We'll see. We're almost going head to head in this one,
All right,
Brad.
Brad.
What do you got?
So I'm looking at the defense that we're facing this week, okay? And I'm seeing, is there an opportunity for Mason Rudolph, because I do think he's
here
going to
we
be the
go.
starter,
Yeah.
that Calvin Ridley, Tyler Boyd, whether it's Chig, Traylon Burks, any one of these guys can amass 250 yards of offense through the air, okay? So I'm going to take the Titans plus 250 through the air.
Okay.
Okay?
That's rare.
Just because it's
I
who we're
like it.
facing.
See, he's positive,
Okay?
too.
It's who we're facing.
We're back home. They've been
Yeah.
on the road for 2 weeks.
Who you going with, Brave?
Feeling positive.
So watch this. Go through all what was your pick again?
I'm going under 38.5.
The total.
Point total.
No, not Buck. I think I'm going with
I think
B-Hop.
the Titans are going to score at least. I'm going to take the 20.5 over for points for Titans. They're at least going to score.
That's a close one. What was yours, B-Hop?
250
Passing.
yards plus through the air.
More than 250 passing yards. Yeah, go ahead. Be
Yep.
brave. Go ahead.
Look at he hates all
No,
of them.
I'm going Kayla.
All right, thank you.
The
Thank you.
250.
Thank
I
you.
think I'm real close, but man, I just don't know if they.
I mean, he had 266 yards last week.
I
Mason
know,
Rudolph did.
but they got behind, so they threw more.
They were down by 38 points. I
true.
cannot
That's
emphasize
why
that enough.
I really wanted to go there, but I don't know. I'm going Kayla.
Yeah, I feel like you're at home. You know what
really
you've
trying
got.
to
You
win.
give these fans something. something.
If they win, though, they probably will get B-Hop's number.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if there's offense to be had, when you've got a gimpy Tony Pollard, Tajay Spears is not in the lineup, which means Julius Chestnut, somebody else is going to be in your backfield, right? Not taking a shot at them, but then you've got to go to the guys that have been moving this offense. At least last week we saw Calvin really take a step forward.
No, I agree with that.
Why would you go away from them?
That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
By the way, I did want to ask you before we get into hour 2, are you guys satisfied with, right now, the offensive line has made some progress, but what in the hell is going on at the right tackle? Who's in it today? Are we going to draw a name out of the hat? Do you want me to take my hat out? Do you want me to put the names in and then draw them out?
B-Hop is getting ready right now. That's the right tackle.
Suit up, big boy.
Not left.
Are you going
He said not left, but right. He can do right still today. He said he can still do right.
It can't be worse.
He said they for sure going to get a dog out there. That's what they're going to get.
If you put me at right tackle, make sure that Josh or Chig or somebody was sitting right next to me every single
in my
play.
hip pocket.
The only thing you should be worried about right now is the bull rush. I think
That's it.
you
You're
can
right.
move. You can move.
I had to cut somebody every single time. Every time.
It's just it's incredible to me that this continues to be a rotating situation. Leroy Watson last week, I think he had some more penalties. They took him out. They put in John Ojukwu. So who knows what the roulette wheel will be today?
Yeah, I mean, so let me ask you guys, because you've had to play along multiple different teammates based on injuries. You know, you have a week of preparation to kind of get prepared for whatever that might look like. But when you get out there, it may be different from the guy that you're used to playing alongside or playing next to, whatever position you might have. So with what they're trying, are they better off continuing to try different options? Or for an offensive line, B-Hop, does it not make the most sense to try and just ride out whatever you think is the most stable solution and allow for some level of chemistry to develop? Because honest to God, I can't make up my mind on this.
No.
What difference does it make to rearrange the chairs on the Titanic? The thing is going down. It doesn't matter what you align them to look like, right? So just keep them dang chairs right where they are and just, ride this thing out. Now, you can do things to protect the most exploited part of your offense, okay? I just mentioned that. Now, it does make you more predictable, but it also kind of solves an issue of this guy getting beat one-on-one. But then again, you can't have the pre-snap penalties. You can't have the stuff that actually creates negative plays like holding and things like that. Now, sometimes holding is necessary. I know that sounds crazy, but it is. Coming from an offensive lineman, there are plenty of times that I've held to where that play wouldn't have happened if I didn't hold. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Oh, yeah.
But you don't want something to happen like jumping off sides or doing something, blocking a guy in the back or something stupid like that actually negates a play. So I can help my right tackle out by making the right side the strong side. Strong side being the side that the tight end is most delegated to. Making sure that the running back, he chips on his way out. In other words, that defensive end is thinking about getting his ribs cracked by whatever back is going out into a route, or if he even is staying in protection. It just gives that tackle just a couple of more seconds to get himself set, right? Help him out. You can help him out, especially against good edge rushers. And what I'm going to do every single week is I'm going to put my best edge rusher against the most exploited tackle in that situation. Now, J.C. Latham has been consistent.
He's been good.
Played some things well. So I wouldn't expect their best pass rusher to be wasting his time on 55. I'm going to put him on the other side and see what I can do over here, especially when you're talking about, these guys flip-flopping and trying to figure out which guy is going to be the best situation.
But which guy would you do? I mean,
I know.
what would you do? That's
why I joke about pulling it out of the hat, but I'm really being truthful.
Blaine, that's a terrific question because neither one of these dudes seem to be the answer.
No.
Can we get that kid from Texas to transfer already? Get here.
Early eligible draft.
Exactly. Take him out now. Come on up.
Because we know we're going to take this.
Man, to me, when you start doing that, I think that means you don't have your guy, obviously.
Right.
I would agree.
It makes it really tough for the guy playing next to him, though. I would know that for sure.
Dylan Radens. Yeah.
So that makes it really tough for him. But at the same time, you got to do what the coaches think is best. I'm not a real big proponent of yanking guys out for mistakes. And I'm not a big proponent of a rotational tackle.
I'm not either.
The offensive linemen never come out. I mean, so this is a very rare. Shows you how desperate we are at that position and how things didn't work out like they thought was going to. So man, right now I want to stick with one guy until. And I'm gonna go with Watson. I know he's got some unforced errors. But if I would have supported him the next game instead of not dressing him.
Yeah, that's the thing that kills me.
I may have not started him, but I wanted to play him more because I saw fight. And so that's what really was missing. Not just fight, but he was in a lot of his battles. So I would have said, hey, let's just calm down. You're going to be the guy. We may rotate some guys in there, but don't be alarmed. Let's see what you can do the second start of your career. Let's go back to everybody starting their first game. Beehive, myself. I was a nervous wreck. And then as things settled down, I made mistakes.
You settled down, right.
Yeah, and then the support, hey, man, you did a pretty good job. Hey, we can build on this. Let's get better in the next game. Let's not make these mistakes. And then your confidence kind of starts rising. You start saying, I belong. I can start. Well, I'm talking about guys who were getting their first opportunity, which was Watson Steele. So in his first start after 2 years in the league, I thought it wasn't horrific. I thought it was something like I can manage through at least through the season until we get our guy or find our guy. Instead, they went the opposite. Instead of started rotating guys. I wouldn't have done that unless he was horrific. Yeah. And he wasn't horrific.
Yeah, they're the second worst pass blocking efficiency unit according to Pro Football Focus in football. And those grades aren't, final.
They're not the end all be all, right?
The coaches grade them, but just according to Pro Football Focus.
Yep.
You want to guess who's worse than the Titans? 78.9?
New England Patriots.
New England Patriots.
Yeah, they have their offensive line is.
So there should be opportunities on both sides
I'm
today. We'll
you.
see who gets because that's the thing with this team. They also need to disrupt the quarterback, which we'll talk about in the second hour.
And speaking of the second hour, that is company coming up next.
We are
the
company.
Lead Company countdown to kickoff. That is right. All you need, visit them online at leadcompany.com. Buck Rising's going to take over. I'm going to head down to the field. I'll give you an update. And I've got your tell them about a Titan too. I'll introduce you to a guy who is both a Vandy and Vol fan. Yeah, a little bit interesting, right? He's new to the roster in terms of the 53 too. So that's the hint I'm going to give you. That is
the
coming
question
up in
marks
hour
around Blaine's
two.
head pop back up.
I know who it is now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the corner, right?
Exactly. All right, it's the League Company countdown to kickoff. Titans versus the New England Patriots right here at Nissan Stadium. You're listening to 104.5 The Zone.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of the Lee Company Countdown to Kickoff. We got a couple of Titans legends alongside. We got Brad Hopkins, B-Hop. We got the Hitman, Blaine Bishop. We got you for one more hour until Titans Countdown takes over live outside of Gate 3 here at Nissan Stadium. Titans and the Patriots on tap today. Boys, at 1-6, not ideal. You would like for this team to have put something together earlier in the season to capitalize on some of the opportunities that they had, some backup quarterbacks that they faced, some injury luck that now is not exactly trending in their favor as we approach the halfway point of the season. But before we talk about this matchup in more detail and the idea that Mason Rudolph is expected to start and that Tony Pollard is also expected to play today, Drake May is expected to start for the New England Patriots at 1-6 with 10 games, including this one, left on the board. B-Hop, I'll start with you. What can this team still accomplish to prove to its fans, to itself, to its coaching staff, to its front office, the people that will be making jobs about the viability or decisions about the viability of these people's jobs, players and coaches at the end of the season? What do they still have to prove with 10 weeks left to go?
Well, at the end of the day, they're professionals. And that's the only thing that I can stand on. You are getting paid to go out and do a job. And anybody that doesn't go out there and do their job, they usually end up on the street. So at some point in time, I would expect them to at least have a little bit of dignity, a little bit of pride, and say, hey, look, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do what I'm brought here to do. That's understand my assignment. That's put forth the type of effort that would at least give me a chance to win. And whatever happens after that, it just happens, because the one thing that players cannot control is wins and losses. Because players on both sides, on both sidelines, they make plays because that's what they've been paid to do, right? So I can't control everything that goes on. I can't stop a defense from getting off the field on third down. I can't stop an offense from rushing for respectable yards or protecting the quarterback. But what I can do is whatever it is that my job requires me to do. And that's all what I expect them to do, and let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah, I think that's the same assignment even with losses. I think that's what you do as a pro. Really, if you're not playing for your pride in your own name,
right.
What else are you playing for? So at the same time, a lot of guys play for the money. Well, at some point, you won't be playing for the money if you don't do your job. So obviously, it's different than most colleges. Colleges kind of easing over that way with NIL, but the expectations are you're supposed to perform up to the level of your pay scale and whatever you're getting paid at every position. And if you're not, then they'll decide to go in a different direction. So you must focus on yourself and what you need to do to get better and not worry about what other people need to do to get better, because you can't control that.
And there are several highly compensated players on this roster who you would like to see perform at a higher level against a team and a game that is infinitely winnable here today. The Titans trust their home stadium to Lee Company to tackle their HVAC, plumbing, and electrical problems. They can protect your home too. Your next play, visit leecompany.com. Lee Company, all you need. So let's talk quarterbacks, because some late stage determinations were made on both quarterback situations for these teams. For the Titans, it is expected to be Mason Rudolph. Trevor Siemian called up today from the practice squad to the game day roster, which would indicate that Will Levis is going to sit for a third straight week.
Right.
At this point, dealing with that sprained AC joint in his shoulder. Blaine, you talked in the first hour about how inhibiting that injury can be, especially for a quarterback on his throwing shoulder. And it was interesting, Brad, to hear kind of the discourse from Levis and also from Brian Callahan this week, where Levis is saying, and I think he misspoke a little bit, that it was his decision as to whether he played or not. and Brian Callahan, had to clarify on Friday and say, well, no, it's my decision.
Exactly.
But I appreciate Will's input on said decision because it's not my shoulder that we are trying to determine whether or not he can go out there and play a game. So maybe a little bit of a verbal flub from the quarterback this week.
Let's look at Shane Steichen's situation where he actually says, Anthony Richardson, you're no longer going to be the starter moving forward. We're going to put Joe Flacco in there. That's a decision, in my opinion, that was made because Joe Flacco is the better option at quarterback.
Yep.
Because there are 21 other dudes other than the quarterback that are starting players on either side of the football that want the best that they can possibly have out there on the field. And if Joe Flacco's that guy, that's that guy. Now, fast forward that to here to Tennessee. If Mason Rudolph being 100% is better than 75% or 80% Will Levis, then guess what? That's best for the team at this point. And we saw Mason Rudolph have some respectable numbers last week. Despite the 2 interceptions, he had a touchdown. He threw for 266 yards. 66.3 passer rating is not going to get it done, but the mistakes that he made did have an effect on that. But I'm just saying, when you look at, like, even the Patriots themselves, Jacoby Brissett came off the bench once Drake May got hurt, and he ended up having 15 of 24 for 132 yards, a 77.1 passer rating against the Jets last week. They have a really good defense. So I think Brissett gave them the better option. And he might even be the better option today, but if you say Drake May is our future, and we've been riding out with him up to this point, usually guys don't lose their job because of injuries. But I think in this situation, it's like, what are my best options? What, with Brian Callahan, is putting together a game plan to say who is performing at their best this week. Now, Blaine will tell you this, more than likely the games are won during the week, okay? It's the connection I'm making during the game plan that I'm putting together. It's the guy that's running that the best, the most efficient, that gives me the best option on Sunday to win. And with Mason Rudolph having more of the reps with the ones, throwing more balls to Calvin Ridley, throwing more balls to Tyler Boyd, the tight ends, running the offense more than Will Levis has at this point, I think he gives them the best option to make the kind of connection that would allow this offense to stay on the field more consistently.
Yeah, with the nuances, and that definitely matters. So, that's what I was talking about a couple weeks ago. He got to do all the ones reps, and that really matters in a game. So now he gets to do it 2 weeks in a row. I don't know how much he was doing ones. I was assumed that he did, with a possibility at least half of them, but he was kind of leading the charge. So, I'm looking to, see the offense do better, but I actually don't want to see Drake May. Because he brings a running element. As a defensive back, too. I'm always, you're prolonging the play. He may not be the more efficient quarterback at this point, but he also is the more dangerous guy. He could cause problems. He can get extra first downs and those things. So, but, hey, he may also, be prone to more mistakes, too, because he's a young quarterback, in his first year in the league. So, I think hopefully we can force him into some turnovers, Drake May, and then the Titans can then capitalize, hopefully, on some turnovers on the other side of the field.
Yeah, and how they're going to capitalize is being better on third down than they were last week, Buck. They had 11 third down situations, and how many times did they convert?
I believe 3.
3.
Yeah.
That's not going to get it done. That means that your defense is on the field way too often. They're on the field way too long, because no matter how stout your defense is, 10, 11, 9-play drives, the drives that eat up clock, don't create an advantage for any defense. They like to fly around, be disruptive, get turnovers, make that offense make mistakes, give the ball back to your offense so your offense can do some of those things, staying on the field, moving the chains.
Yeah,
it also matters on third down, like what's the down in distance? What's the distance on those downs so you can be more productive? So more manageable third downs, maybe the third 5 and shorter, instead of I'm betting that it was longer than that.
They're playing a lot of third and 6 plus.
Right, so and that's tougher even to manage through that. So that's
you know contributes to that though, Blaine, too? Mistakes.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm talking about like holding call. Now you got 3rd and 15.
False start, no doubt.
False start, 3rd and 15. Third and, like you just talked about, those down and distances that you don't have a bunch of those plays dialed up in the playbook that are going to convert every time,
Yeah, to your point about Drake May and the juice that he gives the ground game, because Ramondre Stevenson is one of the hardest running backs in the National Football League. He's obviously the focal point of their offense, but Drake May has 114 yards and a touchdown that they can add to that as well. And then as far as the penalties go, last week it was not the Titans' best performance, and really they have had some discipline issues all year long with that in particular. From the game against the Detroit Lions, they were penalized 8 times for losses of 60 yards. They're just not good enough to get set back that consistently often. The Lee Company Countdown to Kickoff is made possible by Lee Company. Lee Company, all you need, visit them online at leecompany.com. But that's the thing that we talked about in the first hour, guys, for people who are just now joining us. And if you want to call in and tell us what you want to see the Titans to accomplish today, you are welcome to do so. 615-737-1045 as we broadcast live outside of Gate 3. If you want to stop by and say hi before you walk into Nissan Stadium. There are people out here, despite 1-6 and 2-6, the battle of the bottom feeders at this point. You're seeing some people show up because it's a beautiful day to watch a football game.
Ramondre Stevenson did have a couple of touchdowns last week, right, versus the Jets, but he only rushed for 48 yards, and that was on 20 attempts. I think he averaged 2.7 yards an attempt. So what does the Titans defense do well? Stop the run. So if you slow down one of their more productive guys, and Antonio Gibson, I think that he's cleared whatever injury situation he was dealing with. On the year, he has 236 yards. And you mentioned Drake May. Drake May has 114 rushing yards on the season, so he does have the ability to get out there and make plays with his legs. But I think that plays right into what the Titans are able to do too, which is stop the run, get off the field when possible. So I think that this is a situation where if you do everything right as far as gap discipline, making sure you're not peeking in the backfield and get beat deep, and keeping everything in front of you from a secondary standpoint, this defense should be able to live up to its billing of being one of the best in the league.
And
yeah,
it's
that's a little nerve-wracking for me as far as Drake May. I look at it as Malik Willis, because I think they're going to run some form of that, and with the running game. And I know what our numbers say the defense is, but they weren't that against Green Bay, and I know this is not Green Bay. But that makes me a little. When the quarterback is an option to run like they are in college, that brings problems to the NFL, because now everybody has to man up. Do we have the repertoire to do that now with two corners out, the two starting, you paid corners? So, especially if somebody goes down. So I think Drake May running could be actually an issue and be the dynamite to actually kind of get to this defense.
I will say, though, Blaine, Jarvis Brownlee Jr., the fifth-round corner, has held his own out of Louisville.
Nobody's questioning that, but he was one of the guys peeking in the backfield. See, so that's because of youth. He hasn't had the experience yet, but every time he has a test, though, he passes it. So, I think he has done greatly this year so far.
Given the circumstance.
The Patriots tight end Hunter Henry is their leading pass receiver in the game.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
What type of challenge does this Titans defense face when you have the tight end being the dude that they go to most?
Who's guarding him?
Well, Jerome Baker will see probably. Well, we'll get the inactives here in about 15 minutes. Jerome Baker is the linebacker that they traded the Seattle Seahawks for. He is expected to make his debut today. The linebacker situation was questionable last week because you could tell how much that Detroit was getting the tight ends involved. They saw Jack Gibbons, they saw Kenneth Murray, they saw two guys who weren't necessarily great in coverage, and said, "All right, let's test it a little bit. Let's just test it,
Is
right?"
That what happened?
No. I mean, there was. Listen, we haven't even talked about special teams in the second hour. Okay, let me get my feet under me before I get to the real issue at hand. But that's what any good offensive coordinator is going to do. They're going to test the advantageous matchups that they think they might have had that week in practice. And in particular, if the defense isn't able to stop it, why not keep going back to those plays, Brad?
Facts. Good point.
Yep.
The Lee Company Countdown to Kickoff is made possible by Lee Company. Lee Company, all you need. Let's open up to the phones here live at Nissan Stadium. Titans and Pats coming up at noon today. Titans Countdown will take over in about 45 minutes from now. Let's start with Richard in Springfield that wants to talk Titans keys to a W. What you got, Richard?
Hello.
I think that the Tennessee Titans need to get the throwing game going, but I think the Tennessee Titans will start Mason Rudolph, and then the Tennessee Titans need to run with Tony Pollard, and finally they need to get some catches from the wide receiver that is Calvin Ridley, and you have to give it to Calvin Ridley as a running back.
Thanks for the call, Richard. We appreciate it. Yeah, getting Pollard involved, getting Ridley involved is going to be a big part of what they try to accomplish today. And we'll see how much Tony Pollard does, right? Because they'll go out and test it. He hasn't really practiced much this week. They'll go out and test it pregame, see what determinations they make, and we'll probably find out which running backs are going to be involved. Because, again, Tajay Spears is out today.
Right. Tony Pollard, like Kayla mentioned in the first hour, it might be more of a resting scenario. I know it's listed as a foot injury or something that he's dealing with, which is probably true. But also when he's your bell cow, when he's your workhorse to this point, you don't want to waste him during the week, with a lot of stuff and putting it on his plate. Now, that does mean that Julius Chestnut, maybe Joshua Kelly will see more carries or at least be involved in the run game. But I think a balanced attack is what the caller Richard was talking about, right? Because when you're balanced like that, you're less predictable. And also, like Blaine was mentioning, those down and distances that do predicate what your play calling is. If you're in manageable situations, then the playbook is way more expansive than it is if I'm dealing with third and plus 10. Because now I'm dealing with a total pass situation where I need those extra yards to be able to make this thing happen. Versus 3rd and 5 or lower, I could run play action, RPO stuff. I could run the football. I could pass the football. There's so many different variables that I can bring to the table when I'm in those type situations.
Mm-hmm. No doubt about it. I was sitting here thinking about, why in the beginning of a game and always after halftime, I'm still trying to figure it out. The offense struggles. Maybe because after the scripted plays or anything Biop's been talking about off script, which means you get a penalty or something that puts you back, they can't adjust. Whether it's the defense is making adjustments along figuring out what they're doing during the game, or these are the reasons why they haven't, just because it's really weird that they look good almost in every game at the beginning. The first couple of drives, you go, oh, dang, they're going to be able to move the ball, most of the time. And then you go, as the game goes along, go, oh, well, dang, they're not moving the ball at all. And then the second half, you go, they ain't doing too much or nothing. So is it a game time, in-game adjustments as they're going along that makes them struggle? We're talking about balanced offense. Absolutely, you want that. Actually, you want more running game at some points in time, especially if, your defense isn't having a good day. But you got to be able to run the football to keep everybody honest. So I'm just interested. Man, I'm still trying to figure out, because I don't have the answers of why they look so different in the second half.
That's a great question.
It's puzzling.
I think Thor has his hammer, right? The Incredible Hulk has his strength.
Yeah.
Flash has his speed. They've all got a superpower. What is the Titans' superpower? What can they rely on that, despite what the situation is? You know what I'm saying?
Well,
something that they can say
I
is
think
the
Buck
standard.
knows.
What is it, Bud? What is it? What is their superpower?
I played the fifth. I'm not answering this question.
The reason why I say that is because, like,
You're not going to make me the bad guy today.
Like
you
you
will
mentioned,
not.
Blaine, but going into the second half, regardless of what the situation is, whether you're up in points or down in points, maybe the game's even, I know there's some base rule stuff that I can go to and say, you know what? Regardless of what you do, I'm going to line this thing up. I'm going to do this. But what is the Titans' superpower?
They don't have one.
They don't have one right now, and that's the thing.
That's the go-to.
That's the thing that kind of frustrates you about, and it's why fans have started to not just criticize player performance, but also coaching and things like that, because they're reaching for answers too. Understandably so. They are they're like us. They're not in the meetings. They're watching this thing play out.
Right.
They're having the same questions that we're having, and it's just it's a confluence of so many different things happening in any one given game that they just can't seem to put together a well-rounded performance. When they get adequate special teams play, they can't move the ball on offense in the second half. When they get good offensive passing production, their special teams undermines them and sets the defense up with 5 straight drives for the Lions to go in and score 5 straight touchdowns on yardage that's 26 or less from the Tennessee Titans, 26 or less, which happened in that game because of the special teams gaffes. I do know one person who has an established identity, and that is Ron Slay, who joins us now from the Bridge Building. Now, I don't know what that identity is. It may be questionable at times. It's certainly less questionable than this football team.
Ron Slay's over there with some kitty cats. You with some kitty cats?
What you got, Slay?
Listen, Buck knows this really well. The kitty cats, all of that, I got them all in a little box. Yeah, I got them all in a little box. I put it behind the bench. That's why they played the way they did. I'm just letting you know that. But y'all talking about superpowers. I got a superpower. It's called controlling the crowd. So
I know
it is packed over here right now. I mean, shoulder to shoulder, like old school in the 90s when you had to walk through the club and saying, excuse me. That's how it is over here, man. We got a phenomenal group, and I got a test for you. You know I like to test them out, so here we go.
Now, let me get the vibes.
All right, here we go. Patriots fans. What we going to do? What y'all do? Go Pats on 3? What y'all do? All right, here we go. On 3, y'all give me y'all thing. Let's go Pats, all right? 1, 2, 3. I like that energy.
I like that energy.
Okay, now Titans fans, y'all know we welcome them to the Music City. We're not doing this any other way. So the Southern hospitality, give it to them the right way. Tighten up on 3. 1, 2, 3. Tighten up! Yeah.
Cheated.
Who was that?
Slay Blaine's over here like the Alabama broadcaster saying the Vols pumping crowd noise.
That was Kirby.
Hey, man, listen, I promise y'all, it was 400 pre-sold tickets, man. The lady just told me it's 550 in here right now.
Hey. Look at that.
I'm telling you, I ain't seen a crowd like this. This is the last time we saw this was the Cowboys on Thursday night.
Well, they're trying to numb themselves for this football game here in a couple hours.
Yes, both teams are terrible.
You told them Buck was going to show up too, right, after the show? That's why they're there? Is that what happened?
They would have run away. They would have been drinking even more and then running away afterwards.
See, hey, man, y'all cut it out, man.
Hey, man.
Slay, what do people need to know for home games at Nissan Stadium where they can come hang out with you and get the party started.
Man, the people need to know, man, you come to the Bridge building, scan the QR codes, you get it to walk in on some greatness. There's no tailgate like a VIP Titans tailgate experience over here, brought to you by Bullseye Event Group. You come in, or you can go to social media and follow Bullseye Event Group, 1045 The Zone, either one, get the QR codes, listen to The Zone throughout the week. They give tickets away to come party with Big Slay. Yes, I'm talking in third person right there, but this is the other thing. You got 4 floors of greatness, a silent auction on the first floor. You also have all you can eat, all you can drink by the celebrity chefs and celebrity bartenders. You can't miss this. The kids, even it's family friendly, kids have a place for them. 5 Xboxes set up, and they can play the games and keep themselves tended to while you be an adult. And come up here on the 4th floor where it is climate controlled. And right now we ain't got no roof because you know I like no roof. And have a good time with me and legendary DJ C Wiz.
Hey, listen, Slay, I've been watching these commercials with Eli Manning on there, and he's talking about never losing the tailgate. Now, listen, the Titans have yet to win in Nissan Stadium, but one thing they will never lose is hanging out at the Bridge building over there with you and the fellas. Am I right?
You absolutely right, man. We do it all over here, too. I'm talking about it's a good time, this family reunion vibes. Our motto is we friends over here until we get to Nissan Stadium, and then we become enemies. So right here, we all good over here. Everybody welcome each other, high fives, hugs, and everything.
That is the Ron Slay. You can follow him on social media there at the Bridge Building. You can tailgate with Big Slay each and every Titans home game. Coming up next, we'll take more of your phone calls. We're live out here at Nissan Stadium, gate number 3, as the gates are now open for this Titans and Patriots game, getting ready to kick off in about an hour and a half from now. Coming up next, though, we will give you the inactives for both teams. Who's in, who's out. This is the Lee Company Countdown to Kickoff, live from Nissan Stadium on 104.5 The Zone.
Drew Black.
Welcome back to the Lee Company Countdown to Kickoff here outside of Nissan Stadium, Gate 3. We got the Titans. We got the Patriots coming up here in about an hour and a half from now. We also have the inactives for both teams out today for the New England Patriots. We got Brad Hopkins, by the way. We got Blaine Bishop. We'll get to your phone calls here in just a second. Kayla Anderson will join us from the field. We'll get her updates as well. Our buddy Mike Giardi of the Boston Sports Journal has the Pats inactives. KJ Osborne, Tyquan Thornton, Joe Milton, VFL, Kyle Duggar, their stud safety, and Eric Johnson all out today for New England. For the Titans, Will Levis is officially inactive. It will be Mason Rudolph's start for the third straight week. Tajay Spears, L'Jarius Sneed, Trey Avery, Cedric Gray, tight end David Martin Robinson, and Dylan Radens.
What?
Dylan Radens.
Starting right guard, Dylan Radens is out. They called Corey Levin up from the practice squad, so a Titans offensive line that felt like it was just starting to find their footing a little bit. Dylan Radens playing solid football. In his first opportunity to really kind of take over a job that way, he is going to miss this game against New England today.
So who do you think is going to start there, Bucker?
Rupsich just went on injured reserve.
I know.
So I would expect Corey Levin, who's
Daniel
played both
Brunskill.
guard and center. Brunskill is also an option. He was the starting right guard last year as well.
Yeah.
So they do have a couple of different things. I would expect, honestly, Brunskill over Levin.
I'm going to tell you what, man, that is never a good situation when you have your right side that is pretty much going to be exploited today.
Oh, my.
Regardless of ability, I mean, they don't have enough time and chemistry working together to make them consistent, you know, so.
It's the first time I've seen you dejected.
That's really the first time.
About the O-line.
We finally got the Brad.
We finally got it with the Dylan Raven. Now both guys are out.
I try and be a guy half glass half
It's-
full,
that
man.
is so
but,
hard.
Golly, that's a deal breaker.
Do we know
right
his
there.
injury?
He was on the injury report. If you'll give me
During
just
the
a
week?
second,
Okay,
I'll
okay.
pull it up. But Brad, let's talk about this matchup because the Patriots, they're competitive on defense, certainly.
Yes, they are.
Right, and certainly that's been something that Gerard Mayo has still found ways to put together, despite them having a record of 2-6 right now. So, I mean, to your point, they've already pinpointed this right side as an opportunity to take advantage of matchups. Certainly, they're going to be looking to pressure Mason Rudolph from the inside, not just from the outside as well
Absolutely.
today.
I mean, you're right about that. I mean, they've got the stalwarts, the Sione Takitakis, Daniel Akule is a guy, Davin Gottschalk. You know, these are some dudes that on the interior of that offensive line you're probably going to be hearing a lot about today just because of, the right side that's not as consistent. So, where are their playmakers going to come from? Where Keon White, he's a dude that's probably going to be able to apply some pressure today. I think the most imperative thing that the Titans could do today to not let that be an issue is to stay out of those down and distances that allow pass rush to be an option. You know what I mean? If you're running the football, anything can happen because sometimes the running back makes you look good.
Yeah.
You can just barely get a paw on a dude. Next thing you know, there's a lane that gets created and there's some positive yards that can be gained from that. But when they're scheming you, when they're stunning, when they're blitzing, when they're doing all these things to not allow Mason Rudolph the time in the pocket to let any sort of route develop, any sort of chemistry develop within that offense, that's just a situation that no offensive coordinator wants to be involved with.
And as Blaine asked earlier, the injury is a foot. Dylan Radens did not practice all week with that foot injury. The Titans trust their home stadium to Lee Company to tackle their HVAC, plumbing, and electrical problems. They can protect your home to your next play. Visit leecompany.com, all you need. So they're going to rely, Blaine, today on Mason Rudolph to be decisive, to get the ball out of his hands quickly, to, as Brad said, stay out of obvious drop-back passing situations, which this team has already tried to do.
We know that won't happen.
Yeah, well, I mean, but you can't. Blaine, here's the thing. It's like the Vols in Kentucky yesterday. Kentucky, one of the worst offenses in college football, and you can't get into a game with one of the worst passing offenses in college football that makes them seem like they've got a competent passing offense. The Patriots are one of the least statistically effective passing offenses in the NFL. If this thing turns into a race between you and New England,
You believe stats?
I would like to use them for context. I know sometimes they lie.
The NFL
Sometimes they
always
lie.
lies to you.
That's true.
No, just kidding. But, man, first of all, when you turn on the tape, this still looks like Bill Belichick's stamp on the defense.
Yeah.
Sorry. So Mayo's doing a good job there. This is going to be a really interesting test here on the right side for the Tennessee Titans of a guard tackle with replacements here. And, man, it could be something good, but it could be a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
Right here, man. This is a little nerving for me, the guard and the tackle. And then, I don't know how much other guys were practicing at guard to even make whoever's going to play a tackle feel comfortable. Like you said, the time frame, it's just a lot, man. They have to be able to ball control this game, and I don't even know if they have it in them to be that type of team anyway. To be honest, with Pollard's foot, this is a good question. Whose foot is more important, the running back or the offensive line foot?
Ooh.
I'd say the offensive line's foot
Yeah.
because, put it this way, you can put anybody in the backfield if you give them holes to run through or ample time to throw a ball, then guess what? Anything can
anybody
happen.
at guard.
Right,
tackle.
exactly.
As we
Now,
know.
I want to say this, though. Looking at the opposition, looking at the Patriots, they've been challenged by their head coach, Gerard Mayo.
Yeah.
Guess what he called them last week?
Soft. Yeah, 2 weeks ago?
But what does that mean when a coach calls you soft? Now, Bill Belichick had to come to defense because most of those guys he was coaching last year, right? He said, we weren't soft last year, so I don't know all of a sudden how you made them soft.
Well, him and the media decide now. Bill said, I wouldn't have said that.
Right.
No, what he meant to say was, I wouldn't have said that publicly.
Right.
No,
But what does that do for your defense when you got your guy up and saying, hey,
Fired
we were
up. They're going to be fired up, man. That's what I'm saying, man. This defense, they act like, New England's just horrible. When you turn on the tape, the defense looks like, whoa, this is going to be some tough sledding here. And they got enough pieces on that side of the ball anyway to make this a heck of a game. So, golly.
Man.
Look, why are you all happy smiling
Who
now?
said that?
The guard and the tackle, both for you, we don't know. And you look
Oh,
all
I'm just laughing at the idea that you were nervous just now. You've been nervous all morning. Please.
I've been nervous all morning. I mean, no, this took me to a whole nother, heart palpitations here.
You're listening to the Lee Company
Oh, my
Countdown to
gosh.
Kickoff. Lee Company, all you need. Visit them online at leecompany.com alongside Brad Hopkins and Blaine Bishop. We're taking your phone calls, getting you ready for the Titans and the Patriots. The news, Will Levis inactive, Tajay Spears inactive, Dylan Radens inactive, among others. All three tackles in John Ojukwu, Leroy Watson, and Nicholas Petit-Frere, who was a healthy scratch last week. They are all on the active roster.
They're going to put him at guard?
I don't know. Oh, no, they wouldn't put NPF at guard.
Ooh,
No,
what?
They would not put, no.
Ooh, desperate times, desperate measures.
No. I'm not that desperate.
I don't
I'm not.
He said, I'm not
that desperate. No. Let's not get crazy here.
Oh, no.
Let's go to Mark up next on the Lee Company Countdown to Kickoff. Hey, Mark.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Good, Mark. What's going on, brother?
So I want to ask you a hypothetical. So if I'm Rams right now, it's almost realistically the season's kind of a loss. Why, with the trade deadline coming up on Tuesday, why is he not reaching out to Dallas for Trey Lance or Pittsburgh for Justin Fields? 'Cause I think both of them on the last year of their deal. So it's almost like a rental. You see if you can build your offense around them, because realistically, if you look at what's coming out of the draft this year, the top quarterbacks play their same style of football. So even if we still finish bad and get a top 5 pick, it gives us the flexibility of trading back and recouping that pick. So I want to get your thoughts there. And then, the one thing that I've seen about Brian Callahan as a head coach, I think sometimes the game moves a little too fast for him. And what I mean by that is he's horrible at challenges. So I think he's looking ahead in the playbook as opposed to, I don't know if he doesn't have the proper personnel in the booth saying, hey, spot's wrong or whatever. But I just think he's more engaged for the next play than the previous play. And that could just come, he could get better with time, but that's just what I see.
Hey, Mark, what kind of Kool-Aid are you drinking right now? Because I want a sip of it. You know, the reason why I say that is because if you think about a trade between, say, Mason Rudolph and Justin Fields, Mike Tomlin already knows who Mason Rudolph is, right? And if you think about adding another dynamic to this offense, Justin Fields has shown himself this year that he can be capable of running an offense. The only thing about it is Russell Wilson might be more capable of controlling that offense. I don't think that Justin Fields gives you that leadership intangible at quarterback that most offenses feel more comfortable in doing. But I'd love to see him in a Titans uniform, especially at this point when we have still so many question marks at quarterback.
Well, I'll go ahead and answer it for him. He answered his own question. One, because he's on an expiring contract, Fields. If you can get him at the end of the year, why would you give up a pick for him? Two, you have the opportunity now to compete for, not compete, but you're vying for the top draft pick, which gives you your choice if you want to use it on a quarterback or if you want to trade back. I would not sell out if that is in fact the direction that they're heading, to give this coaching staff the opportunity to have their quarterback. And on top of that, Pittsburgh's leading their division. They're at the top of the AFC North. Why would they trade Justin Fields if they're vying for a Super Bowl? They may need him down the stretch.
Blaine, which is more imperative to get in this draft, a right tackle or quarterback?
In this draft, based off who's coming out, a right tackle. I'd actually go defensive end before right tackle.
That's another thing. Pressure.
I'd take a right tackle in the second round. That's what I would do. But to the caller's question, how do we not know that Rand is not on the phone trying to consummate, some form of a trade? Like, so that's what his initial question was, right?
Yeah.
It was specific to quarterback.
Right? Yeah.
Okay.
Specific to quarterback.
Okay, I didn't hear it all. But, I would think besides the nucleus, whoever you want to think those guys are, I think everybody's up for debate as far as trade.
Oh, hell yes. Except for Jeff Simmons, and I get the logic because Jeff's fine. He's not been bad or anything like that, but it would be selling lower on a player who's, you would expect to get a better trade value from. Right now he's got the bad elbow, which he's going to have off-season surgery. He can play on it right now, but if they wouldn't move Jeff without requisite compensation, and I don't think they'd get that at this point.
I think in this situation, you're talking about trade and getting value for guys that we know are already proven, whatever else. It's almost like a game of craps. You know what I'm saying? You rolling that dice, hoping that whoever you get back in return has the same type of effect. I mean, you're
you're going to get draft picks, probably not a player. So naturally, it's about development and building from the ground up. I think that's what they're thinking about. And guys who are in their last year of their contracts, mostly I would be thinking are available for that.
So on the defensive side of things, Blaine, because this is, fair to expect that these teams are going to try and keep it tight. They're going to try and limit possessions on the offensive side of the football. You're going to try and control as much of the game as humanly possible. On defense, they have some injuries here, too, that are worth noting. Amani Hooker did miss a good bit of practice. He is questionable today. You have Tavondre Sweat, who's been dealing with a hip injury. He is also questionable today. Trey Avery is out, so you're going to see more of these depth corners getting tested this week. And Justin Hardy, who's going to be who's a new addition to the roster, somebody who has been an adequate special teams player as they try to improve themselves there on defense. What are the keys when you're going up against the second rookie quarterback that you've faced this year to try and limit what he can do to hurt you?
Well, naturally, it's always good to see if you got some pressure up front from your top four. We saw a little bit of that. I don't know if it's, guys got super pumped up about that game or not, but, man, they sure looked a little bit different, at least therefore at half. So naturally you want that. And then, you got to get after the quarterback, a young quarterback, understanding your responsibilities in the run game, too, because they may run some RPO stuff, too. I don't know how much they'll do that, but I think you got to – and then you got to make it uncomfortable for him from the beginning. Now, whether that's zone blitz scheme, I'm more into now with these young quarterbacks of confusion than actual pressure. So see one thing, bring it from another area, but have extra people in different areas. So what I'm saying is, okay, we're going to zone blitz scheme on the right side, but in reality, we're zone blitzing from the left, and we're bringing our coverage to the right. So that's where you can get confusion to get you to just throw you one. I think once you do that, then you get him to hold on to the ball a little bit, then you start getting after him, hold on to the ball, get some hit calls, fumbles. That's really the strategy I would be hoping for, but you just never know how sharp he is as a young quarterback in this league, a rookie quarterback.
Yeah, especially if you can't get there with four. If you need to manufacture the pass rush, if you need to get guys and bring them from other directions, bringing more than they have to block, that can be an option. But also being disciplined, especially when you're talking about a quarterback that can escape, that lane discipline, staying within your position, and also like Blaine talked about in the first hour, don't be peeking. Do your job. Follow your technique. I think that this is a situation where, Denard has done a good job of at least putting together the type of scheme that can help this defense, right? So just buy into it. Do what you're taught to do during the week, and then those plays will come for you.
No, I know Denard Wilson was not easy on them this week, despite having some short field opportunities that they had to defend, some quick change opportunities that they had to defend. You're listening to the Lee Company Countdown to Kickoff live outside of Nissan Stadium. Titans and the Patriots coming up at noon Central Time today. We'll turn things over to Titans Countdown in about 12 minutes from now. Kayla Anderson will join us from the field as well. So when we're talking about the performance of this team and trying to take advantage of a team that is in a similar situation, the Patriots do have one more win on the season than do the Titans. We're talking about the positivity that this team could benefit from just to try and build upon something that they haven't had at this point in time. Brad, I'm looking at you made a great point in the first hour that the audience in the second hour might not necessarily have heard about the coaching and the criticism of the coaching this week. It's been primarily Colt Anderson, the special teams coach. Offense, anytime you can't score, right, every little problem or perceived problem is magnified. So your estimation of the job that this offensive coaching staff is doing to try and put these players in positions to succeed based on what you're seeing on the field.
This ain't high school. Sometimes players make mistakes or they're just not, adequately equipped to be able to do the job because they're still learning, right? This is the epitome of playing football. You're in the National Football League, which means that you have a job and a responsibility to do. Go out there and do it and see what happens. Even if it's a bad play that's being called, if I win at my position, if every single one of us wins consistently at our position, we have way better chance to win a ball game than we do losing the ball game. But unfortunately, we've seen a lot of shooting in the foot. We've seen a lot of mistakes being happen. We see a lot of lack of confidence. We see a lack of pride in a lot of what we're doing out there today. And I think that's one thing that doesn't allow this team to have an identity. They've been trying to find that superpower. We talked about that just a few minutes ago. And like Blaine said, like you said, they don't have one.
I would like a power, not even a superpower. Let's start with a power.
Get the kryptonite out your socks. Let's go.
They got kryptonite in their socks? What do they got in their socks?
I don't think they have kryptonite. I wish they did, though, man. I tell you what.
It would make it more explainable.
Yeah, I don't. Man, the prediction here is I just want really, you got to find a way to win a freaking game. I don't care how it looks. It looks poor, it's bad, we got lucky, whatever it may. But, man, if they don't get this night off here, man, it could be really tough going from here on out.
Do you remember?
It's just tough. This right here, man, they got to win this game. And I don't want them to feel like they got to win it.
No, I do.
But they know they got to win it.
I would like them to feel it.
I want you to go out there and just say, what the freak do we have to lose? We're one of the, as far as our record, we're not one of the better teams. We're one of the worst teams. What can we do out here? Let's go ball. Let's go after this pick, man. In a cover 3 like Zaire Alexander did against us in cover 3, a 5-yard hitch. Let's go get it.
You talk about hitting rock bottom last week with how the Titans performed and how they got beat on the road against the Lions, right? Now, admittedly, this is a super offense that they went against, but they didn't do themselves any favors, giving them a short field. I'm going to say that this is a must-win situation. The three of us sat up here when Kayla was in the stadium talking about Indianapolis and how they were down and how we should be able to take advantage. All of a sudden, Joe Flacco gets put in the lineup and the spread shrank.
Oh, my God.
And then we end up losing that game at home.
That's the most scared I've seen Blaine in my life.
If this isn't a situation,
Flacco, man,
if there isn't a team that we are supposed to beat and that we should beat, and if it ain't these cats right here, what are we talking about? So this is a bona fide must-win situation for the Titans.
We are going to go down to the field to hear from Kayla Anderson, who joins us now. Of course, she's a part of the Lee Company Countdown to Kickoff as well. She's got her player profile for us this week. What do you got, Kayla?
Hey, you guys. Yes, tell them about a Titan time. And this week, I'm going to introduce you to cornerback Gabe Judy Lawley. Okay, so he was recently added to the Titans 53-man roster. He wasn't drafted by the team, but he's made a spot for himself after impressing the minute that he was signed here. And maybe you're familiar with that name because he actually has been in Tennessee before. That's right. Gabe Judy Lawley spent 3 years playing at Vanderbilt, and then he ended his college career with the Tennessee Volunteers. He considers himself a VFL, you guys, but he follows both of the teams. He has loved what the Doors have been doing this season, of course, given the win against Auburn yesterday. He'll just have to pick one side, though, when it comes to the end of the regular season when the two play each other. But he is active today, for what it's worth, guys.
Oh.
Trey Avery inactive, so fair to expect that Gabe Judy Lally, the Vol/Door, may have to play some snaps today.
We got Tom Brady and we got Chris Johnson sitting right here in front of us.
That is a match made in heaven.
One of these two cats is going to be ticked off when they leave here in about 3 hours.
No, she wishes she still had Chris Johnson, and he wishes he still had Tom Brady. That is why they make sense together. All right, one player you got to see. Thank you for the check-in, Kayla. We'll see you inside of Nissan Stadium. Brad, real quick, who do you want to see one individual step up today?
Mason Rudolph, because I called for 250 plus through the air, so I got to make good on my bet.
Oh, my. He's got to follow. What's yours?
No, you first.
Whoever's playing guard.
Who's ever playing guard? Listen,
I got.
if this football team doesn't win a damn game today, we're going to be having some serious conversations on 104.5 The Zone on Monday. But with that being said, we turn things over to Titans Countdown, the best in the business no matter what the record. Mike Keith, Coach Mack, Rhett Bryan, Amy Wells, Ramon Foster, and the rest of the crew. Titans and Patriots coming up next on 104.5 The Zone.
Tighten up!